Hi, my name is Patricius and I'm an amateur astronomer based in Lithuania. Here's my coordinates, you can see them on screen, and welcome to the first episode of Visual Astronomy. What a better way to start off the first episode than with a review of some astronomical kit. Here I have the Celestron 15x70 astronomical binoculars, which I bought recently. Here you can see the first flaw of the cheaper binoculars. The caps came off just when I was pulling them out of the case. However, it's not a big problem in my opinion, because these binoculars offer very good views for their price point. I bought them for 75 euros at a local store. And one thing to keep in mind with these cheap binoculars, which I did when I was buying them, is quality control. Right off the bat, when I was visiting the store, I asked for several pairs of binoculars, and I went outside right next to the store, tested them out in the street, which the vendors allowed me. Thank you very much. And the optical quality between them was quite varied. The first pair that I tried was, the left eyepiece showed severe aberrations, basically intolerable amount of aberrations. There were two more pairs. I picked up the second pair. I looked through them. They seemed quite perfect. I mean, optically, around the axes, they were well collimated. Everything matched. So I picked them up. They're not as heavy as I believed they would be. In fact, I still believe it's quite possible to handhold them. There's some handheld visual astronomy. Although I would strongly recommend using a tripod, as I did. I basically bought these binoculars just because to use them on a tripod, to get a steady view at a 15x magnification, which is quite a lot, especially when comparing to my previous binoculars, 7x50s, which I always used handheld. And compared to them, these binoculars, I would say, show more than one magnitude deeper into the dark sky. Of course, these binoculars come with a tripod adapter, which is quite flimsy. It holds the binoculars quite firmly, but the problem is that they vibrate. The binoculars on this adapter vibrate, and after adjusting focus or panning around the sky, it takes about 15 seconds for the vibrations to die down completely. And you can see that the whole binoculars flex around this shaft. Not around the joint, not on the joint with the tripod, but around this plastic thing. It just twirls around. Well, all in all, I'm very satisfied with these binoculars, actually. I was most surprised by their apparent field of view. It took me some quite getting used to these binoculars, because at first they seemed of quite poor optical quality, and I would definitely not call them premium pair of binoculars. You can see image split, the prismatic chromatic aberration, which is red and green across the entire field of view, irrelevant of the position of the object in the field of view, as well as severe coma at the edges of these binoculars, which starts off extremely non-linearly. There's a very definite good central area of the field of view which starts to fall off dramatically towards the edges. You get defocus and coma. The stars begin to get their tails, their chromatic tails, as well as expand, which is a sign of defocus. But basically, as long as you keep the object inside the center of the field of view, you're going to be alright. And especially since the field of view is so wide, I would say it is at least 70 degrees while viewing through them. Okay, now some practical tips. First of all, you gotta adjust the diopter precisely, because at 15x magnification it is far more sensitive than with the 7x50 binoculars. Of course, I would recommend viewing them through using these binoculars on a tripod, but if you're gonna use handheld, be sure to have these eye cups deployed, which makes them work sort of like a vintage monocular. They kind of dig inside the eyeball, the eye socket, and it adds a little extra layer of stability. But I found them to be quite a hindrance when viewing with these binoculars from the tripod. That is why I found out you can quite easily fold them over, which allows you to get your eyes so close that the field of view starts to vignette. I've seen some other no-name brands of large binoculars which did not have foldable eye cups, and I tried one of those, and I simply could not get a steady view when they were deployed on the tripod because my nose and my eye sockets were getting in the way of the eye cups. But with these folded back, it is extremely ergonomical. I already had the first light with these binoculars. I was looking at Messier 3, Messier 5, the double cluster, the stock 2 cluster nearby, and lots of open clusters around Cassiopeia. And it is an entirely new level of astronomy, I would say, binocular vision. Me personally, I would compare binocular vision to be the true astronomical experience, because when I watch a star in the sky, I simply put up my eyes to the binoculars, which are already aimed at the star, and I can get the sensation that the field of view simply expands. That's what you get with double vision. While a telescope I would compare more to a microscope. There's a different kind of emotion when you use one eye only. Of course, for the same price point you can go a lot deeper with a telescope. Now, as for the moon, of course, this was another revelation. The moon looks simply stunning. I could see small craters, quite small craters. I could see the Hell crater, Mons Pico near Plato. The major craters like Plato and Copernicus are perfectly visible in these binoculars. The build quality is quite alright. There's no sign of defects, both outside and while viewing through the lenses. There are no blemishes of the lens coatings. Overall, I would say it's a very, very lucky buy. For the price point, the amount of joy that this instrument gives for its price point is stunning, basically. I think my 90mm refractor is gonna get a lot of downtime in deep sky observing because this thing right here is gonna take over a lot of that activity. So thank you very much for watching this episode, and stay tuned for future episodes on visual astronomy. Thank you very much. Bye.